Well, ESPN back a few months ago claimed that they got rid of little white girl Sam Ponder. They got rid of her over budget cuts. They also, if you remember, got rid of another conservative woman, the great Sage Steele. Interesting, both politics align with being a decent human being. We must get rid of her. So Caitlin Clark comes on the scene as a basketball player, and Caitlin Clark decides, I'm going to be better than everyone in the world. Well, the world of ESPN gets nasty, gets hateful. The world of the WNBA gets nasty, gets hateful. Race baiting on ESPN and within the WNBA at an all-time high. And the anti-Clark brigade just got paid. It pays to be anti-white at ESPN. It does. See, ESPN is in the middle of the great overcorrection. Books were written on ESPN's good old boys club. The post-George Floyd era said, hey, look, we got too many white folk working. ESPN at the forefront of this. So what'd they do? They not only got rid of, their conservative African-American, shockingly, in Sage Steele, because she didn't toe the company line of race-baiting, hate-spewing, anti-white rhetoric. They also got rid of their host, Sam Ponder, very popular host, because she did not fit into the race-baiting, liberal, crazy world of ESPN. They can say it's budget cuts, but yesterday proved that they were not telling the truth. As yesterday, big-time extensions for race-baiting anti-Caitlin Clark, the brigade. Let's call it the brigade, the anti-Caitlin Clark brigade. It consists of Monica McNutt, whoever the hell she is, Chinny Chimichanga, who is the leader of the brigade, and, of course, the big stupid, the big racist, Kendrick Perkins. I'm going to the chin. Sam Ponder was the network's lead NFL studio host. Sam Ponder did a very good job. Sam Ponder actually came out against transgender dudes hitting volleyballs in the face of women. She came out against transgender dudes in sports. And oh, the horror, she supported Sage Steele. She gone. Yet ESPN fired her 3 weeks before of the NFL season. Secondly, Ponder had become the network's only female talent to speak out against transgenderism in women's sports. A non grata topic at the Disney-owned media operation. See, but you got to understand what we're doing here. We are urinating into the wind because ESPN is committed to this. This isn't just a thing. ESPN is committed to their political views. And it goes back to the Disney fight with Ron DeSantis down in Florida. ESPN, when you work there, they just say, don't talk about it. We're bigger than them. And that's cool. But the hypocrisy, I get it, goes unnoticed in most networks, not here. We stand for truth and honor. We stand for right and wrong, and we expose hypocrisy, while Ponder had become a political pariah inside ESPN simply for believing that men should not play women's sports. Perkins, Changa, McNutt, they firmly established themselves as soldiers on the other side of the culture war. In fact, it could be argued that they led the culture war as much as it can be led. When the big stupid talks, I just listen. I haven't watched Chimichanga, Monica McNutt, not one time. I see Monica McNutt on a set leaning back and kind of acting as unprofessional as anybody can, very arrogant because, she's got a job or two. And I just turned it off. Ogumwagwi, I don't know her name, and McNutt fronted the ESPN crusade against Clark. Certainly early when they had media coverage. Now, of course, if you do that after she's been named first team All-WNBA and clearly the best player in the league and maybe the best player ever in the league, you don't have any media coverage for your stupidity, so they've changed. They have. They've swung it a little bit. Anyway, they vigorously defended the black players who cheap-shotted Clark on the court, namely Kennedy Carter. There was no excuse for them doing that. The only excuse for them doing that is the obvious. They were racist. They were old school. They were buddies with all the old OG lesbian African-American women of the WNBA. That's why they did it. They have to live in that area, in that space, as children call it. So they did it unprofessionally. They would never have done that had the tide been turned, and everybody knows that. That's why I say unprofessionally. See, professionalism, and I'm not one to lecture on it, but I'll tell you what I think it is. I think it's the ability to remain unbiased and do a job. Meaning, I don't care if the African-American lesbian Kennedy Carter knocks the little white girl down or the white girl knocks the little African-American lesbian down. A cheap shot's a cheap shot. But the lovely ladies of ESPN and NN don't see it that way because they know to stay inside that bubble, they must be a soldier in the battle. They must defend the almighty liberalism. Apparently, Ponder should have spent more time diminishing white players. It works. Race baiting is a form of job security at ESPN. By the way, speaking of all of this, through all of this garbage, through all of the hate and through all the nonsense, Caitlin Clark just wants to play basketball. See, all these women who have had 27 years of WNBA to establish a brand and failed to do so, well, they want her to be Gandhi. They want her on their side. In fact, I would argue at the lesbian parties, which is what happens in the sports world, ask my beautiful wife, they probably have tried to recruit her. But she says no. She stays her own course. She gets done playing basketball. And while Angel Reese is dressing, well, I don't know what Angel Reese is dressing like. Let's just put it this way. She's shaking her ass for anybody that wants to look. Caitlin Clark's out there playing golf. Caitlin Clark's out there knocking the ball right there on the green next to the hole. Just like those of us that are great golfers do. Or those of you that are great golfers. I shit the bed yesterday on number 18. I don't even want to talk about it. But anyway, so that infuriates. It does. You're supposed to dress like, I don't know, an Instagram model on crack. That's supposed to be the brand. That works for Angel Reese. God bless her. She's a no-talent hack that apparently, by shaking her ass, has become very popular. Now she's whining, Angel Reese is, that on her salary she can't afford her $8,000 a month apartment, and we're supposed to do something about it. I'll tell you what to do. Get yourself 3 or 4 roommates. Pretty simple. And this infuriates. It infuriates the world of WNBA because Caitlin Clark just goes about the business of being a young 22-year-old woman, having fun, and not stripping down naked. Makes him crazy. Makes him absolutely crazy. Now, she got another accolade yesterday, Caitlin Clark did. 66 of 67 first team WNBA votes. How about that? The first rookie to make the team since Candace Parker and being the 5th rookie ever to make and get that honor, joining Sue Bird, Tamika Catchings, and Diana Taurasi. Catchings is awesome. Taurasi seems angry, and Sue Bird, I swear to God, she's going to end up with a husband and kids at some point. There's no way. Side note, there's no way you can spend the rest of your life with Megan Rapinoe. There's no chance. Clark's first and second team votes combined for 66, meaning one of the WNBA sports writers and broadcasters responsible for voting left her off the ballot for both honors. This result is very similar to Clark's near-unanimous Rookie of the Year that saw her receive 66 of 67 votes. Voting is anonymous. It's unclear if the same voter is responsible for both. But based on this pattern of voting, I would say so. Close your eyes and make a guess the demographic of the woman or the dude maybe that decided I'm going to leave Caitlin Clark off of all of this. Close your eyes. I'm seeing someone. I don't know. But if that person were smart, if that voter were intelligent, and they probably are, they would make themselves public. I am the one that did not vote for Caitlin Clark. You know what would happen? Burke Magnus would run to his or her house with a contract and sign him up for WNBA coverage on ESPN, probably NFL coverage on ESPN, probably NBA coverage. Because one thing ESPN showed last night, man, they'll reward you if you know Likey, the little white girl, that is Caitlin Clark. Or if you're such a flaming racist and you tell people like Kendrick Perkins did, hey, man, black voters should not vote for the white Nikolai Jokic, you'll get a lot of money. God bless them. Good for them and good for ESPN. I'm just stunned. I'm not going to lie. I'm stunned this story has absolutely no legs. And when I say no legs, I mean no legs. Kirby Smart in a game Saturday was going after the ref, and in the meantime, he just shoved the quarterback out of the way. Now, let's think about this for a second. Kirby Smart is absolutely on the right side of the media. See what winning does? Winning, man, winning clears and cures all ills. Kirby Smart's team is a national embarrassment. Kirby Smart's team has been responsible for the death of a young recruiting woman who somehow, some way, while drunk, had a company car and was drag racing, Jalen Carter, I think it was, with another player in her car. They crashed, 2 dead. Did that stop Georgia football from being absolute dumbasses when it comes to getting behind the wheel of a car? Of course not. Didn't stop Georgia football players from getting charged with things like unborn child endangerment, which is weird to me. I mean, abortion allows unborn children to be killed. It just sounded like a weird charge. I get what it is, and I hope it's a felony. I do. I hope it's a damn felony. And if the kid did it, I hope he goes away for a long time. Can't hit a pregnant woman. Can't punch a pregnant woman in the stomach if that's what he did. Honest to God. So Kirby Smart somehow, because he's won a couple national championships, is on the right side of the media. I'll never understand this. I really won't. Urban Meyer, who never had a violation, yeah, he had guys arrested, somehow ended up on the complete wrong side of the media. Somebody's going to have to explain this to me. Somebody's going to have to explain to me how Kirby Smart can have all this crap and then shove a player Woody Hayes style, and we got nothing. Hey, I understand it's a busy time in sports. Look, I understand the entire sports world is focused right here on the Indiana football Hoosiers. I get it. The Major League Baseball playoffs are off the chain, yo. Donald Trump and the election are taking a lot of coverage, even in the sports world. But the dude shoved the quarterback of the opposing team. And he said, yeah, I don't even know I did it, man. I was trying to get to the referee. Really? That's how you act when you're out of your mind? So losing your mind is okay no matter what you do when you're losing your mind, as long as you're defending your team to the referee. That's some Tim Waltz, I'm a knucklehead defense right there. Hey, what can I tell you? I'm a crazy man when I lose my mind. I don't know what to tell you. Well, Mike Ingram, former Alabama running back, Heisman Trophy winner, and now he's on Big Noon Kickoff. He said that he knows Kirby Smart, knows him pretty good. He said Smart was at Alabama as a defensive coordinator when Ingram was doing his thing. He said this, Smart never would have gotten away with something like that with an Alabama player. The SEC is lucky there wasn't an ass whooping, Ingram said. I know Kirby perfectly. He was my defensive coordinator when I was at Alabama. He knows if he would have touched any one of us alphas like that, that he would have been squared up on. If he would have tried to push Rolando McClain, Courtney Upshaw, those cats like that, me, like Julio Jones, like I would have been trying to get at Kirby. I agree. I would have been trying to get to Kirby. Now, it was on their sideline, so I don't know if I would have been able to get to Kirby. But I damn sure would have tried. Kirby knows what would have gone down. That's someone's child, man. Well, the someone's child thing is stupid. I mean, shut up. Shut up with that. That's just stupid. That's someone's child. Oh, so what? But I do agree. And I do agree with the entire statement. If you know the guy and you know the players, somebody would have been, but the problem is it was on the other sideline. And, of course, it's on the other sideline because, well, he's on the other sideline. I don't know how you get at Kirby Smart. I don't know what you do, but I am amazed that this whole thing has just been glossed over. I've told you all for years on this show and others, you got to get on the right side of the media. The most important thing a coach can do is get on the right side of the media. The most important thing a media member could do. See, Dick Vitale was smarter than anyone back in the day. Dick Vitale had a pad of paper next to him. And on that pad, he had all, he had all the writers that he wanted to talk about during the game. Oh, man, so-and-so did a great column in the St. Louis Dispatch, right? So what happened? All these dudes loved him. Vitale would go in the media room, hang out. What would happen? Rudy Martzke, USA Today, and others loved him. Dickie V became Dickie V that way. Smart. Get on the right side of the media. I currently am not. Not that it hurts me, but it certainly doesn't help me. Kirby Smart, however he's done it, in a very sanctimonious, whiny, effeminate media, Kirby Smart has somehow managed to get on the right side. So whatever he does just gets whitewashed. But not to Mark Ingram, and good for Mark Ingram. You know, inside the NBA is going away after a year, apparently. And people are focused on Charles Barkley. People don't really focus on Shaq because Shaq's got 8 million commercials. Shaq will basically pimp himself out to anybody with a dollar. Barkley's the glue. Barkley's the Seinfeld. Kenny Smith's on that team, too. A lot of people have also talked about Ernie Johnson. He's going to stay. Well, Kenny Smith's on that team. Many forget, but I don't see Kenny Smith doing a lot of commercials. Maybe he's done one or two. But Kenny Smith seems optimistic about his own future, no matter what happens with TNT's award-winning show. He's comparing the show to Seinfeld, which I like, saying it's the four of us together. They have individually created monster possibilities for each other. Remember this, Kenny. Only Julia Louis-Dreyfus made it out of Seinfeld, and because of Veep, became a bit of a star outside of Seinfeld. Really, only Jennifer Aniston outside of Friends. Be careful by thinking that without the four of you together, it's going to work. It's interesting. Remember when LeBlanc, whatever, Joey from Friends tried to have his own shows? They were really stupid. And all of a sudden, we're looking, and Joey from Friends has gray hair. Doing a bad sitcom didn't work. Michael Richards, a.k.a. Kramer, he got on stage and made racially insensitive jokes at a time when comedians can't make racially insensitive jokes. I guess Jason Alexander in Pretty Woman was pretty good, but he seems to always play the same character. Seinfeld, if you go watch his act, it's about as dull as it can get, but he's still very big. When he throws the first pitch out or he shows up at Yankee Stadium, they show him. But you got to be a little careful here because the cast of these hit shows individually, it didn't work. I look at our show as Seinfeld, Kenny Smith told Sports Illustrated. It's the four of us together. That had made really great television that people watch, and not just for basketball. We've individually created monster possibilities for each other. This is just right now our last dance, so to speak. Our last year there at TNT, at least right now with the way it looks and the way it sounds, unless something drastically happens legally, changes legally, Kenny Smith said. We have a great crew. Everyone on our staff, from the person who does the statistics to makeup to production to producers, everyone is coveted by everyone. Not only by Warner Brothers, Discovery, or other networks. I don't think any of us are worried about job security. We're all interested to see if it's going to be all of us, if it's going to be individual. Well, I got to tell you, I saw where they just signed, and I just talked about it, Kendrick Perkins at ESPN, and that's cool. I mean, if you think Kendrick Perkins moves the needle, then that's cool. But if I'm ESPN, if I'm the head of ESPN, I would look at that show and say, man, are we missing an opportunity? I would revamp the set. The set is dark and dull. I would open it up. I would bring Shaq. I don't know if Ernie can do it, but ESPN's got enough hosts that can handle it. I would bring Shaq, Kenny, and Charles over in a second. The pregame show, postgame, halftime at ESPN has always been awful. Even when Sage was hosting it, I saw her on the street. She was having lunch. I was doing a walk. I'm like, how's the show? She says, stinks. It stinks because they got bad teammates. It stinks because, as my producer on my afternoon show says, everybody's got their own take. It's not conversational. It's not real. They force these women on us that are more about themselves. They force Kendrick Perkins, that has the TV charisma of a fish, on us. Jalen Rose was the worst teammate in the history of broadcasting. Bill Simmons brought nothing. He didn't even want to have a host. He got too big and fat for his britches, as they say in the South. Nope. If I'm ESPN, I'm blowing that thing up, and I'm going and get the best pre, half, and post-game show in the history of television. I'm going to get it. I'm bringing them over. I'm paying whatever. Remember, at ESPN and Walt Disney, it's not that they're losing money. It's that they're just not making as much as they used to. They can afford it. They should afford it. You're telling me you're going to watch Wilbon, 172 years old, and a self-described curmudgeon. Stephen A. Smith, a loudmouth that doesn't interact with others other than to yell. You're telling me you're going to have two non-hoopers on a show, along with some woman sometime, and the big stupid Kendrick Perkins. That's what you're telling me? And you think that's going to work? No. Bring them over. In fact, I may send another email to Jimmy Patero saying, you know what, save your network. Bring those guys over. Reports emerge that NFL broadcaster, I'm going to say that again, NFL broadcaster on Fox, Tom Brady, who recently got his ownership stake in the Raiders approved by the NFL, and that's really a good thing, will have a bigger role than expected within the organization. What'd you think? Like, did you think Tom Brady was going to come to the show, come to the team, and sit back and not be involved? Are you insane? So much so that Brady may have a big say in who the next coach is of the Raiders. Look, Antonio Pierce, just a bad guy. I mean, he was with Plaxico Burress when he shot himself in a nightclub. He's got a 6-year show cause when he was in college football. He's just a mess. And there's all, bankruptcy. There's all kind of stupid stuff. I get it. The players liked him for a minute. Let me ask you a question, Raider fans. The players were all, oh, my God, we got to get him. Oh, my God, look at what we got. How's that worked out now? How are those players doing now? Last I looked, Devontae Adams was faking an injury so that he didn't have to play. Last I looked, when you traded Devontae Adams, he's going to play this week. Interesting. Very, very interesting. No, it's not interesting. That's a Jay Will answer. Kind of ridiculous, don't you think? Kind of telling that guys don't want to play for the so-called players coach in Las Vegas. Of course Tom Brady's going to jump in there. Of course Tom Brady's going to say, what are you guys, nuts? What are you, insane? We're not going to have this guy. We're trying to get it done. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to win here. We don't care if it's a player or a coach's player or a player's coach, whatever. We're trying to win a championship. I said this before. When Tom Brady walks in an NFL building, people sit up straight. Heads on a swivel. We used to do it with Coach Knight, the big guys here. The big guy. The big guy. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Now, I'm just telling you. So if you think anything other than that, well, let's talk about it. Belichick coming, Shedeur Sanders. Brady's trained Sanders as a mentor. Let's see. Let's see what you got here. Let's hear from Tom Brady.
I'll just say this. I won't get specific. People have told me that Brady's first move is going to ask Bill Belichick if he's interested in being coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. 2 sources have told me that. 2 high up in the Patriots organization have told me that.
Well, that's not a surprise. I mean, why is anybody surprised? Of course he's going to do that. Hey, this is a reminder to you, by the way, Donald Trump was so good last night. He was so funny last night. I got to tell you, Kamala Harris wasn't there. He said she was taking communion from Gretchen Whitmer. He talked about Chuck Schumer. He was so damn funny last night, and I guarantee you, he is absolutely funny tonight. He is going to be on. He's actually on right now. You can go to it right now. Let me get this ad right, okay? Let me go here and get this ad right. Tyrus promo. I'm actually Ron Burgundy. I'm going to read it. This is a reminder to you all that our very own Tyrus, OutKick host Maintaining with Tyrus, has sat down one-on-one with former President Donald Trump, an OutKick exclusive that is available today only on the OutKick website. Listen to Tyrus ask Trump why the mainstream media never talks about the good deeds Trump has done in his past life. Let's hear it. Here we go.
Nelson Mandela and 80 of his constituents were trying to come to the United States.
Yeah.
The United States government wasn't helping him. No one was helping him. You chartered a 727 plane for their entire trip.
Yeah.
How is somebody, and it's crazy because you can talk about anything, and why is it hard for you to talk about the things you've done? It runs in your family. Your father helped build a synagogue. I mean, why do we not know those things?
It's something that I've never, I love doing it. I don't need praise for it. I don't, we all like a certain level of praise, but I've never, I just like helping people. I help a lot of people and I enjoy doing it and I never talk about it. It's nice that you bring it up. I also think it's not a narrative that the press likes talking about, for me.
But I think it would help a lot of the American people who have been misled, I myself included.
I think it would help everybody misled. Remember, Trump wasn't considered a racist until he ran for public office, i.e. the presidency. He was considered a friend. You know, all those race-baiting clowns, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and the rest, they went to him for handouts anytime they needed money for anything. They all hung out with him. They did. And you never hear about any of the things. See, I've actually believed this. I always thought that Trump was a pig. I did. Now I'm watching him, and I think he's changed. I do. I think he's gone from an 80s businessman that was so well portrayed by John Hamm, right? He's gone from that to now, you know what? Decent dude, doing a lot of great things, and I'm sure over the course of his life he has. I'm not sure over the course of the life Kamala Harris has. I would argue that she has not. But Trump has. It is amazing. Again, I go to this. You got to get on the right side of the media. We all know if Donald Trump had run as a Democrat, Donald Trump would be hailed. Donald Trump would be praised. In fact, Donald Trump was a Democrat. It is absolutely amazing to me the way the media has strengthened itself over Donald Trump. Dakich, what are you talking about? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, well, in 2020, they were able to get a vegetable elected after a guy had just ran one of the best economies, had closed the border. There were no wars. But somehow, some way, the media was strong enough to convince you that Joe Biden was the better candidate. Now, I'm not going into the rest of it, but that's the power of the media. I said it after the election. I said it very simply. You know what? I tell you what. Media's never been stronger. Never been stronger. The media made us believe, even though we knew differently, that Joe Biden was cognitively okay. The media has never criticized Kamala Harris or anybody in that administration for hiding the fact that our president was not okay. It's like the movie Dave, where the president dies and Dave, who's a lookalike, becomes president. It literally is. But nobody cares. It's the damnedest thing ever. Who should win the Heisman? Who should win the Heisman? It's running back having a historic season. A player wreaking havoc as a two-way player. Travis Hunter playing both ways and playing both ways really, really well for a good, not great, Colorado team. is good enough to win the Heisman, but is he good enough to win it over Ashton Gente? Ashton Gente's been terrific. Here we go. Let's hear.
Right. And I want you to know that I don't want y'all to shy away from speaking that stuff into existence. I don't think that you can't win it. I definitely think you can win it.
I know I can win it, but
Robert
I don't know.
couldn't win it either.
I don't know who's there. I mean, y'all see Ashton Genty, but it's not like we haven't seen a running back that's good.
All right.
We haven't seen a player that plays both ways, and I'm gonna keep saying that. It's like he have 95 carries.
Yeah.
For
1,000 yards. Yeah.
If I had 95 catches, how much yards you think I have?
Okay.
So I'm trying to tell him, like, if I had 95 targets on defense, what you think I'll have?
Right. Oh.
If I had 95 catches on offense, what you think I'll have? So I try to tell you, like, he got double the touches I got on the offensive side of the ball, and I still have defensive stats that's still crazy, and we only in week 6.
Yeah.
So, I'm not gonna argue about it.
I don't consider that argument.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's Travis Hunter on winning the Heisman. Yeah, I don't know. Hunter probably should play. I think he's banged up, but they say he'll play. I really don't know. I think this is the dullest Heisman race we've seen. I think this is the most uninteresting Heisman race we've seen. I've been following the Heisman since I was a little kid, and I don't know. I mean, a guy from Boise, a guy from Colorado, who really cares? I mean, you can tell me Travis Hunter's great. You can tell me he plays both ways. You can tell me he's the best player in football, but I watch the games, and I'm like, yeah, all right. That's the problem, see. You see a quarterback throw for 350. You see a wide receiver break 17 tackles. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, I got something I can hold my hat on, but I don't know. What are Travis Hunter's defensive stats? A couple interceptions, maybe some tackles. I don't know. You go the other way. You can put that Genty on the defensive side of the ball. He'd probably play okay. He's a great athlete. He's fast. He's quick. He changes direction. I mean, what the hell? So I don't know. It's an interesting argument. Rod Woodson won it way back in the day. That was pretty good. I honestly don't know. And I honestly think this year's Heisman Trophy is boring. And I think the Heisman Trophy has lost its luster. I'm not sure why. Concurrently, Genty has rushed for 1,248 yards, 17 touchdowns, 10 yards a carry, which apparently all lead the nation, and maybe it should. He's registered 100-plus rushing yards in each of Boise's 6 games and 200-plus rushing yards in 3 of its 6. 5-1, 2-0 in the Mountain West is where Boise is, 15th in the nation. Genty currently is the favorite at plus 160. Hunter tied for 5th at plus 1,200. Now, that all changes. Of course, that all changes if Hunter doesn't play or Hunter does play. Look, 2 interceptions in a big game, Hunter's right back in business. Brooklyn Academy of Music apparently pulls the plug on hosting Andrew Schulz, who is hilarious. I would love to get him on here, new special, hours after the well-known podcaster and entertainer's interview with former President Donald Trump. I don't know if it's the Trump interview, but the day before we were ready to go. Here's Schulz and Trump.
And we get an email 3.5 hours out, and 3.5 hours after the interview, they cancel shows. Read the exact email, because they're canceling my shows, but they're also begging Live Nation to not cancel future shows with them. Like, they still want business, but they're not this guy. Now, I don't know if it's a Trump interview, but the day before it came out, we were ready to go, and we were going on sale this week. And 3.5 hours afterwards, we get this email. First off, I want to thank you for thinking of BAM for Andrew Schultz's upcoming comedy show. We are always excited when promoters consider our space for their events. After some internal discussions with leadership, it was decided that BAM is not the right fit for this show at this time. That said, we really do appreciate you reaching out. We'd love to work with you in the future and for future events that might be a better match for BAM.
Things that make you go, Things that make you go, Hey, Nick, get your ass on the show, will you, please? Nick, get out here. 10-2 last night. 10-2. The Mets are on the brink. 3-1 right now. But, hey, Nick, I ain't going to lie to you, bro. That Cleveland Indians game against the Yankees, ending on a David Fry 2-run Johnson, was spectacular, Nick. That was a hell of a game. What a great night in baseball last night.
So I thought it was pretty devastating, at least for the Yankee fans, that finally
Aaron Judge comes up with a pretty pivotal home run to tie the game, and it just didn't matter for the team because they lost. It doesn't matter for shit. The Yankees have been begging Aaron Judge to hit a pivotal home run, just something to give them the lead, and he finally does. He ties the game, but it doesn't mean anything because they lost.
And that makes you happy, doesn't it? That gives you solace to know that as a Mets fan who's getting his ass kicked, at least the Yankees got beat last night. That I can tell in your face, because that's where you went. You didn't go to Mookie Betts. You didn't go to Ohtani's leadoff home run. You didn't go there. You went over there to the Yankees sharing your angst. I'm digging your action, kid.
I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me smile for a couple minutes. Once David Fry hit that fuck, and you know what? It was even better. Noel in the 8th inning or the 9th inning, whichever it was, to tie the game. That was pretty. That made me smile too. It didn't suck.
Well, Noel's home runs put it to overtime, or put it to the 10th. I mean, it tied the game in the 9th and moved it to the 10th. That's what I'm saying. That was look. People say whatever they want about baseball, but how about that crowd? How about that freaking crowd last night in Cleveland, just going absolutely ape blank for basically the last 4 or 5 innings? That was fantastic, Nick.
I always knew that Cleveland had a really great fan base, because I remember in 2016 it was when they made the playoffs. Yeah. Francisco Lindor hit that grand slam, and I think that's the loudest I'd ever heard a stadium throughout sports. It was insane, and ever since then I knew Cleveland had a really great fan base.
Yeah, it was nuts last night. And a side note, Spencer Rattler can't play in the NFL, and the New Orleans Saints suck. Let's put it that way. I did watch some of that. The New Orleans Saints, they suck. And, you better bring Derek Carr back. But baseball, brother, 3-1. Betts is hot now. Ohtani, after he hit the home run, he walked 1,000 times. I don't know. Are the Mets done? I kind of think so, Nick.
I think this is wishful thinking. That I think I say Mets in 7, but it's not going to happen. I think it's going to be Dodgers in 6. I can't imagine the Mets getting swept at City. The 3 games that they have there, they have to pull out at least some sort of win. Like, something's got to wake the bats up. And if it doesn't happen, then it's going to be a Dodgers-Yankees World Series. And, I'm just rooting for whoever's going to lose it, pretty much. I'll be happy with whoever loses.
Oh, man, it was a good night, though. What a great night. Baseball, what a great time of year, man. We had NFL on last night, had a little bit of college, had great playoff games. Holy hell. No, that was fun. That was really, really good. I'm not going to lie. Can I tell you something, Nick? This is why you should never get married. You ready?
Why? What's up?
Through all of this, my wife had me watching a show. Nobody wants this. So I had to fight to turn the channel. Yes, nobody wants this.
Never heard of it. What's it about?
I know it's love.